It's the takedown caught on tape, and tonight's sheriff deputies don't want to talk about it.
They sure don't, but tonight's 7 Action News investigator Ross Jones is digging into the scuffle that's raising some serious questions.
Did cops tell the truth about what happened that night?
Or did they cross the line and then get caught?
When Fernando Davis was booked at the Genesee County Jail in 2009, he admits he deserved it. But what happened after that, he says, no one deserves, and it should cost deputies their jobs.
To be beaten like that, no, nobody should ever be beaten.
Davis was arrested the night of his birthday in March 2009 after drinking and getting behind the wheel. While he didn't get into an accident, his blood alcohol level, a .19, was more than twice the legal limit. After being brought into the Genesee County Jail, deputies escorted him into the general holding cell along with dozens of other inmates. But after only a few minutes, he was pulled out and taken to an isolation cell. He said deputies didn't say why they were moving him.
I just complied to what they said do, and I did it.
Surveillance cameras show Davis being brought into the isolation cell. Here he appears to be listening to the officers. It's hard to tell if he's talking because the cameras recorded no audio. After a few seconds, Davis steps forward, putting his hand against the wall, when suddenly deputies swarm him, forcefully taking Davis to the ground. In reports and testimony, they would later acknowledge pepper spraying him and delivering hand and knee strikes to his body, saying Davis was resisting.
So you're one guy in this cell by yourself?
Yes.
And 6 deputies come at you?
Yes.
What are you thinking?
I really didn't have a thought then. There's really no time to think, but just to try and keep them back off.
After removing Davis's shoes and jacket, deputies leave him. He lays motionless for several seconds. When he gets up, Davis seems disoriented, unsteady, and in pain. He can be seen standing over a toilet, looking at his face in a mirror. When he leaves, the toilet appears filled with blood. After being released hours later, Davis's wife took him to the emergency room. His mugshot shows he had marks on his face before he was brought to the jail, but afterwards, doctors found swelling in his head, bruised ribs, and torn or pulled muscles. Genesee County Sheriff Robert J. Pickell never returned repeated phone calls for this story. His undersheriff told me the department wouldn't comment while the case was before a judge. But 7 Action News has obtained deputies' sworn depositions of what happened that night, and their stories often contradicted each other or the department's own video. Said one deputy under oath, Davis was removed from the general holding cell for causing a ruckus, getting loud, trying to intimidate other inmates by balling up his fists. Another had a different version, saying Davis was removed not for anything aggressive, but for taking another inmate's seat. And story number 3 came from then Under Sheriff James Gage. After reading his officer's reports, he said Davis was pounding on the door and hollering, aggravating other inmates. The video shows none of that. In fact, Davis is inside the general holding cell for barely 2 minutes, and a federal magistrate who watched the video himself wrote that Davis appears to be nothing but cooperative with the deputies.
There's no combative behavior. There's videotape of the holding cell, shows him doing nothing wrong. There's no explanation at all, other than bullies.
Once Davis is in the isolation cell, the deputy stories still don't square with the tape. Deputy Terry Cocking said Davis was tackled because he balled up his fists and started coming towards an officer. But in the moments before he swarmed, Davis's right hand is against the wall. Another said when deputies asked Davis to remove his shoes, he made an aggressive move to try to escape from the cell. But does it look like that to you? And several deputies testified that Davis aggressively kicked his shoe at the officers, striking one.
I never kicked my shoe off at anybody.
Why would they say that?
I don't know. It's just something I really have no idea. I never kicked my shoe off at anybody.
And so far, a judge has agreed. In fact, several have. When the sheriff's office tried to get the case thrown out of federal court, Judge David Lawson refused, saying it is not at all apparent that the shoe was kicked with any substantial force or that it struck anything. He went on to say that nothing about Davis's demeanor shows that he was acting aggressively in the moments before deputies rushed the cell and tackle him. A magistrate and 2 judges have now ruled the case should move forward. Today, it is.
It's just amazing how things are overlooked in certain situations because of what you do or who you are, and it shouldn't be.
Davis says he's had to undergo several surgeries as a result of what happened to him that night. He is suing to recoup his medical bills and for punitive damages. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.